Welcome to another night of terror here at the Fireside Tales. I would like to make a special announcement. The following is a Halloween edition of the Fireside Tales. Before I begin, I'd like to warn any of the children that might be in the audience that the following story is not for the faint of heart. Any of you that have a poor heart condition might not want to listen to the following story. Once again, we'll be traveling into the abyss of madness and staring into the eyes of death itself. With that being said, let us begin. Just give me one moment to get the lights. There was a yellow house by the edge of the sea, and in this house there lived a little girl by the name of Lillian Greensley. Now, Lillian Greensley liked to go up to the attic and play in her spare time. She liked to play with the dolls, and sometimes she liked to look up at the ceiling and make out figures and people and all sorts of things. She imagined humongous battles. And then other times she simply liked to play with her rocking horse, and she would walk around and pretend to be a cowboy. Anyways, one night she was up in the attic when she saw a white handkerchief lying in the middle of the floor. And it was strange because she'd never seen the white handkerchief before. So she walked over and she picked it up. And as she looked up, she saw a man staring straight at her. And he was cloaked in shadows, and she let out the most dreadful scream. Well, her parents came up, and the man was gone. He had disappeared, as if he had never existed at all. Anyways, many years passed by, and the girl didn't even really think of this story, only as a sort of bizarre story she could tell her friends. Anyways, she ended up meeting a man by the name of Mr. Edwards, and the two of them fell in love. They got married, and they went to live in a little house by the sea. Well, one night when she was at home and she had nothing to do, she decided to go up to the attic and clean up a little bit. Dust things off and straighten things up. Well, she went up to the attic, and what should she find there but a white handkerchief lying on the floor. And it was strange because it looked just like the handkerchief she'd saw when she was a little girl. Well, she sort of laughed it off, thinking it just some humongous coincidence. But that night, while she was reading the paper, she looked over at her husband, who was sitting there, and she said, I've got to tell you this. It's the funniest thing. I found a white handkerchief on the floor, and it looks just like this handkerchief I saw when I was a little girl. And it was the strangest thing. There was a man standing in front of me, and when I let out a scream, he disappeared. And her husband looked at her, and he said, "So you were the girl I saw all those years ago." And then everything went black. When she woke up, her husband was gone. In fact, his pictures were gone. Everything about him was gone. She went and asked her friends about him, but none of them had any idea what she was talking about, nor did her parents. She would go hunting this man for the rest of her life, but she would never find him. All you girls out there in the audience, sometimes you feel like your husband or your boyfriend may not be around, but then you have a man like him, who just disappears entirely. As always, sweet dreams and good night.